Hey Justin, this is David Olkowetsky with ArtisanRevere. Thank you very much for your order. My team and I really appreciate it. I think you're gonna love your knife. Also, thank you very much for pointing out that ad was still up. Candidly, nobody on my team had any idea, so I'm really glad that you brought that to our attention. Thank you. The purpose of this video is twofold. So number one, I'm going to give you a couple pointers. As a chef, practitioner, I'm sure you're aware of most of these. It's just good to be reminded occasionally, and we have some small adjustments that we like chefs and also home cooks to make to ensure the longevity of this blade, because it is a fairly unique blade and it's very thin behind the edge. So some of these pointers are probably going to be well known to you. Others, we see chefs on the back end. We see some of the blades. And so we see some small issues, so I'm going to give you a couple tips that will hopefully be helpful and ensure the longevity of your blade. And then afterwards, I'm going to perform a quality control inspection. But before we begin either of those things, let's take out your knife. This is your 8.6-inch cobalt blue chef knife. I'll perform the full inspection in just a minute, but just want to show you out-of-the-box sharpness is superior to just about any knife on the market. Our guys in Idaho are tremendous makers. So the couple pointers that I want to go over, I'm going to skip most of the ones that we give to home cooks and just focus on the ones that are relevant to a professional chef. So number one, wash and dry your knife completely. The blade is Elmax steel. Elmax is considered a stainless steel. It has 18% chromium. The carbon to chromium ratio, which is what determines the free chromium, is not as high as on, say, a more budget stainless steel like you might get out of a Wusthof or a VG10 even. So it's important to wash and dry immediately. It's not like a carbon blade where you've got to wipe down after every stroke, not at all. I have yet to see any patination on any of my knives. We have had customers come into us saying, hey, I just prepared a roast and my blade is seeing some discoloration. And of course I asked them, well, how long did you not wash it for? And the answer is usually a few hours. And so it's very easy to remove, but nevertheless, it's important that I say it. The drying part is exceptionally important, especially if you're going to store it in the leather sheath. Leather retains moisture. Moisture is the enemy of steel. So if you're going to store your blade in your leather sheath, as I do for all of my blades, just make sure it's bone dry. So that's number one. Number two, mineral oil. Food grade mineral oil is great. We like to put a drop on the blade prior to shipping. A drop on the handle is amazing as well. So one thing to note, these handles are made out of a material called Richlite. Richlite is 65% recycled wood pulp. So anything you would do in terms of treatment for your wooden cutting boards or anything else that's made out of wood, I would suggest doing the same for our handle as well, again, because it has this sort of wood base. Number three, bench scraper. So this is a wooden prototype knife. We see a lot of cooks cut and then scrape with the cutting edge of the blade. We'd ask that, I don't know if this is a practice that you follow, but consider consider scraping on the spine of the blade or using a bench scraper. That'll just ensure the longevity of the cutting edge. And remember, our edge is 12 thousandths of an inch thick behind the cutting edge. So most of the well-known Japanese brands, the Shuns, the Kikuichis, the Miyabis, etc., that are sort of popular in the United States, they're grinding to like 14, 15, 16 thousandths of an inch thick behind the edge, so we're a good deal thinner than they are, so our blades cut better. Elmax is tougher than the steels that they use, the VG1s, VG10s, etc. But it's important, because the edge is so thin, you don't want to be scraping ideally. Never use a dishwasher. I'm sure I don't need to get too deep into that, but remember, it is a 65% recycled wood pulp handle. I'll leave it there. Storage, best option is a magnetic knife rack or the leather sheath. Honing, so I've had a lot of chefs come back to us happily, saying thanks very much for showing us the more or less right way to hone. So we see a lot of chefs honing like this. Some follow the Jacques Pepin method, out like this. Some do the butcher method. We like this. Gentle, soft strokes. Try to maintain a consistent angle. The reason we put it into the cutting board is really for that, what I just said, consistent angle, okay? The angle consistency is one of the most powerful determinants of how well you're going to realign your edge. LMAX really doesn't need much realignment, but I recommend a ceramic rod over a steel rod. A lot of the steel rods have these ridges that are actually pretty deleterious to the cutting edge. So that's it for our chef portion on care tips. Hopefully some of those are helpful to you. Let's perform a full quality control inspection now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to feel your handle, make sure the pins are flush. These 4 are the pins. Perfect. Now I'm going to just visually inspect the handle to make sure there's no epoxy gaps. There aren't any. I'm feeling the handle just to confirm that it is smooth. We don't want any hot spots on it at all. We don't want any rough edges. This is very well done. I'm going to re-oil this and clean the whole blade prior to shipping, so please don't worry about that. I like to make sure there's a little bit of flex in the tip, so what I do is I put the blade into the cutting board and I just push down. Perfect. That's just right. We check the spine for softness, so we spend a good amount of time rounding the spine of the blade and rounding the heel, or excuse me, the choil of the blade. So that's to ensure that you have no calluses on your index or middle finger. So those are very well done. We're going to check the balance on the blade. So we like our blades to balance just in front of the handle, as you can see here. That gives you perfect, balance between power and dexterity. The more weight there is in the blade, the more power you have. Think like a cleaver, basically. The more weight you have in the handle, the more dexterity you have. We think the right balance is right in front of the handle. I'm going to do a quick chip test along my nail. It's nice, very smooth, very smooth. I'm going to do a quick edge flex test. We want to see just a little bit, just a tiny bit of light reflection alteration where I'm pushing with my fingernail. I don't recommend doing this at home. It's very easy to slip if you're not used to doing this type of technique. We grind again to 12 thou, so we want to see just a tiny bit of flex, not too much. We already performed the magazine test, but let's do it again just for posterity. Perfect. And then I'm going to visually inspect the grind. Checking for straightness. Perfect. Checking for any light alteration, and there isn't any. So this is a really superbly crafted blade. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm available on email or Facebook, whatever you prefer. And you're going to be one of our first customers to get our brand new packaging. So I'm very excited. I hope you love it. I hope you love your new blade. I would love to get feedback if you have a few minutes after using the blade for a week or two. If you could it'd be super helpful to us to add your unique voice as a review on our website or on Facebook or something along those lines. That'd be super, super helpful. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, and have a great day.